Any questions? Olivia?
What does the linear motion lab do?
The linear motion lab you did on Tuesday,
Yeah.
so it would be due next Tuesday.
Okay.
Any other questions right now? All right, a couple comments I want to make about today's lab. So, I do it a little bit differently in this lab than other labs, but if I say, record the mass, plus or minus 0.001 kilograms. And then down here I have mass in kilograms. I'm expecting that your answer is going to go out 3 decimal places. So if you are measuring the mass of something and you get 45, and it looks pretty exact to you, then I am expecting the other 3 zeros there. Because even though in math, 45.000 equals 45, that's math, in science, they are not equal. This is saying it's 45 plus or minus a half, because you round it off. This is 45 plus or minus 5/10,000ths. This is a much more precise answer than that is. Now, in this particular lab, for whatever reason, instead of writing plus or minus, I would have written to the nearest I think 0.001 kilograms, or I might have said to the nearest gram. So I think I put it in the units. Yeah, it looks like I put it in the units that you're actually going to record it, in which you're going to record it. That's saying the exact same thing. And there's one lab, and I think I've corrected it, but there's one lab where at one point I wrote plus or minus 0.000. And again, this means the same thing as that does. This is kilograms. That's the number of decimal places you need to take it. So you need to tack on the zeros if they're not there. Sorry, you need to tack on the zeros at the end if it looks exact before you get to that last decimal place. And I'm also noticing some contradictions in this lab. So let's do some verbal corrections here. So in procedure step 2, it looks like I changed the convention, because in the notes I say assume the sphere initially travels in the positive I, positive j direction. Well, for the first part you're shooting it horizontally, so it's not really, there is no j component. But for the second part, yeah, I guess that's not necessarily a contradiction. So in step 2, at the very end, we could make it down positive since it is being shot vertically. But for step 9, where I'm asking you to measure the vertical displacement, I would say in table 4 here, where it says table 4 vertical displacement, it should be table 4 magnitude of vertical displacement. And so just recognize that in part B, you're shooting the ball up at an angle. Down will be negative based upon the convention I set up in the notes. So down here where it says average vertical displacement, this would be a negative number. And hopefully I'll clean up the language for the next group. All right, this is occasionally, I'm just in the mood that we need to shoot things. We're not shooting at things, we are shooting objects into the air. We have the advantage of, there's not many other people around, so if you need to go in the hallway and do this, you can go in the hallway, you can come into here. The equipment's in the other room, so we'll still use that as the sort of the base. It is possible to kill somebody with this lab. Now, there has to be a whole lot of violations of lab safety. But just please be conscious of the fact. Now, this actually does go to a childhood event. No one I knew, but it was in the paper that some kids wrapped a Nerf ball in aluminum foil and threw it, and it just happened to hit the kid in the temple at just the right speed or wrong speed, just the wrong place, and killed the kid. So this is the kind of stuff that's running around in my head. So we are going to be shooting these small little balls. If you shoot it and there's somebody in between, I mean, odds are you're fine. It might sting a little bit, might get a bruise, but you're not going to die. However, I really don't want to take that chance. So before you fire it, please make sure that there's no one in the way. And I think on that note, we can adjourn to the other room. And I have only 3 free labs here.
I just need to ask you a question about.
Okay. Don't take it off. You are not welcome in this room. No.
That's unfortunate.
We're going to be walking down the hall.